This is for step number 13. And we are in chapter 10. No, chapter 11, sorry. And this is the 4-step for chi-square goodness of fit. How did I start my last chi-square 4-step? We find what first? Population. Now, we are going to be dealing with a proportion of one variable split up between the different categories. So, we are defining PI, my I's are my different individual categories, and to be the proportion of something. And then usually you're going to need a key because you're not going to want to write out like all the words. So you would have something like A stands for this. B stands for this, so forth. Depending on how many there are. So that would be my subscript letter I. Once I start doing one, that'll be really easy. So my null hypothesis is the way my proportions are going to be set up. So if they give me proportions, then my null hypothesis is the proportions they give me. If this were, like let's say it's the grade levels and we're claiming that the grade levels are all the same for something, then that would be, don't write this, that would be like probability of 9th equals probability of 10th equals probability of 11th equals probability of 12th, which all would equal what our claim there. If I'm splitting, so if it's one of these, it's still this, but it just, you can put them all, you don't have to write it out every single time. It's all the same. Alright, so the only thing we're testing here is, does it fit this mold? We are not testing every single thing individually. So if it doesn't fit this mold, what is the opposite of everything works out? Something doesn't work out. And it's literally going to be written like that every single time, and that's why I didn't switch my colors. So here is saying that all of them are correct. The opposite of all of them are correct is at least one of them is wrong. But for this test, we don't get into the fact of which one and how many and that kind of thing. And then what else do I need if I'm running a test? Alpha. my method going to be?
Chi-squared.
And I am totally fine if you just write that. We don't do an interval for this, but I like writing tests because it's reminding you that it's a test. And we've already seen where that's in the calculator. What's my first condition? That's the same way we've always checked it. In this case, well, it could be either one. If you want to write, check which, I don't think I'll follow that part. This is still a chi-square test, so what is my second condition going to be? Large sample size. Which means I'm still going to be checking the exact same thing, which is what? All expected counts at least 5. And I know we didn't write this last time, but I think some people got confused. Here I would actually copy my expected counts table directly right there. I don't know how many things it's going to be. This is A, B, however many there are. So it works the same way as before. We just copied the table there, but I think some people didn't realize that. And then my last condition, independent, which is actually just checking 10% condition. Same way as we've been doing it. It's only one variable, so we're only going to have one sample.
There.
I'm not going to write that. Oh, yeah, you can if you want. This continues the same way. There are at least 10 in population. What was the first thing I wrote yesterday up here?
Degree of freedom.
How did I find degrees of freedom yesterday, Friday? I have this minus 1 and this minus 1 and multiply them together. But how is that going to be different today? I only have one direction. So how am I going to find degrees of freedom? Number of categories minus 1. The way that I write out and my equation for chi-squared isn't going to be any different. And I don't care how you write this. This one is just whatever my first value is. This one is my last. I don't care how you choose to write that. Then I'm going to get a number from adding them all together. And then, so once I get my chi-square test statistic value, then I put what on paper? I know it's going to be right skewed to some extent, or it's going to be right skewed. I'm going to shade to the right to some extent. I don't really know where that line's going to be. And then, so here's my chi-square test statistic number. I'm going to draw and shade, and I'm going to use that to get my p value. We reject or fail to reject. I'm kind of at the point now where I think y'all are fine with this because y'all have not had issues with this. But there are years when people do have issues, and I cut this back too short. Have I already clearly indicated what this is? Do I really need to write out everything this is? So I am fine with that, which would also apply to like Friday stuff where you have to write out like that whole sentence. And you could write HA there, but it's always going to be at least one of the PIs incorrect.